Like at any point in time, I can go to a URL that just shows me the data at that instance in time, just in JSON format, so I can see that everything that's coming across the wire is correct, or have to rely on my web app. If my web app's not working, I can easily see what data is on the server so I can examine it easily. And then there's just, what's cool is you can do a bunch of command line calls with Persevere to like generate new data or send new data across the wire or send test messages. So you can very easily write JavaScript on the command line and watch what happens in the browser if you set it up that way. So to use Persevere from JavaScript, it's actually quite easy. You require the Persevere store, and then you create a new store. Now, I put it in a Dojo add-on load call. What that does is it guarantees that the Persevere store isn't created and updated until the DOM is ready for JavaScript to use. So Dojo has this thing where you just add functions to an add-on load handler, which then allows you to have an arbitrary number of things. The cool thing about this is you can also say dojo.addOnLoad and have a nested dojo.addOnLoad function. And what that does is it says, after this set of stuff is loaded, now load this next set of stuff. So you can very easily define your own dependencies. Or you can say, okay, this is a slow loading application. Show the user all this stuff, and then after looking at it, now go load this other stuff, which is really handy. And then notice we just updated the store to point to the new store. In our requires thing, we just add a reference to require REST channels, which allows us to do the live comment updates that you see. So now we have the grid part, and it's updating live in real time using a data store. How are we doing on time?
I think we have about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, all right, perfect. So we quickly squeezed the data chart into Dojo 1.3 because I needed it to do this demo, and I got it in about 2 weeks before, which is completely against the rules, but I can break the rules because I'm cool like that. Basically, it made the charts, so the charts in Dojo use GFX, and GFX in Dojo is a graphics library. It's a graphics library that supports SVG, VML, Canvas, Flash, and Silverlight. And we do that so that you can use a native implementation if it's available and fast enough, or you can use a plugin implementation if you have to. We default to SVG, but some people might want to default to Canvas. The reason for defaulting to SVG over Canvas is the way DOM events trickle up and down is easier and more intuitive to work with. But Canvas is faster for larger data sets. At the same time, you're still painting something on the screen, and painting something on the screen without hardware acceleration, if done right, is roughly the same in terms of performance across all 5 of those. Actually, 4 of those except for VML, which is IU's implementation, which is wretchedly slow, but still works for basic stuff. And all this data chart does is it takes the charting API, puts it in a widget, it makes it easy to update and use the comment updates as well. And again, it's really easy to add it. You've got a single line to define the store that represents this. And then, actually, sorry, I'm reading them in reverse. So it's the gray stuff. So you require the chart, and you add a chart plot, which is basically saying, here are the parameters of my chart, like the tension defines how sharp the curves are, and how much you want to display, and if you want it to be able to scroll like I was showing, that sort of thing. And then you just say, set the data store reference to this, and by the way, the symbol is I want to grab all of the elements that have a attribute of symbol. So in this case, the stock symbol. Index on that, and then display the price as the Y value. And then you just include a single HTML tag. I think I cut something off by accident, cutting and pasting. There's definitely something missing there, which is the Dojo type, but you get the idea. Oh, and if you're looking into Dojo for the first time, you should definitely go to docs.dojocampus.org. It's a very nice, new, almost too much information in the documentation department. It's very useful. So add-on load, I explained a bit. Basically, the idea is that you never want to manipulate the DOM before it's available, or else you will have timing bugs when you go to production, and those suck. Dojo itself is your project as much as it's mine. We thrive on the success of our community helping us out. We have 60-some active committers to the project, which is very large. But everyone's very busy. But you can help in a multitude of ways. You can file bugs, you can ask good questions. You can donate, but frankly, all we use our money for is hosting. You can tell us about your Dojo app, and we can put it on the site and tell people about it, tell them how awesome you are to use Dojo. If you want to write blogs or demos or articles, that's cool. All that stuff you don't have to say. You don't have to be part of Dojo officially at all. You just have to do that. For the bottom three things, documentation, writing patches, or contributing code, if you want to eventually become a committer, all require a single-page contract called a CLA. It's the same thing that the Apache Foundation requires. It stands for Contributor License Agreement. What that means is that if you contribute stuff to Dojo, you're allowed to. If you have a boss, they've said it's okay. You didn't steal it from anywhere. You're not going to sue anyone for using it. You're not going to claim patent rights over it. And the Dojo Foundation can redistribute that code or that documentation at will. And what that does is it allows us to tell our users that everything in Dojo you can use without fear of any of those things. And that's really important to us because a lot of big companies and agencies use Dojo, and they're very skittish about that for things that are important, like software that they sell. I've been hanging out in Europe a little bit longer. I don't think I mentioned it, but I've been around the world for about 3 months total, including the next month or so. There's also a beer event tomorrow night. Perhaps if you're around asking for details, you'll probably go out to the pub afterwards in the evening. And there's an event type stream if you want to follow. And of course, there'll be more events later this year when I get back to the States. Time for questions, and those are some of the useful URLs I mentioned during the talk. And thanks for having me, and any questions? Or did I just bludgeon you to death with how awesome a piece of Dojo is? All right, cool. Oh, and if you need to upgrade your laptop, I'll help you out in that room back there with a nice sticker that'll go right over your logo of choice.
Jag ska säga en sak också, att Dylan har en workshop imorgon hela